I serve as the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs here at UNC Asheville. UNC Asheville is nestled here at public liberal arts institution in the city of Asheville, which is located in the Blue Ridge Mountains in western North Carolina. We have about 3,000 students, largely undergraduate, focused on liberal arts education, many of them traditional age, but many of them also not traditional age students, and doing a mix of things in various disciplines, including arts, humanities, natural sciences, social sciences, and kind of across the spectrum. 350 acres here in the city, but also, Asheville is a vibrant city, but it's also completely surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, and so that has provides us a really kind of unique situation that is different than kind of other city campuses. Um, my oversight of student affairs is really a traditional student affairs portfolio, but also includes all things strategic enrollment management and recruitment and retention, admissions, and financial aid. My career has centered around student affairs, but in serving on campuses at Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, and also much of my career serving in Florida, where I was doing an emergency response around hurricanes. That served me well this fall as Asheville went through Helene. Today's the 6-month anniversary of Hurricane Helene, and so many of us are thinking of that today here in Asheville. And so when I joined Asheville in 2022, we were the campus was just, as many of us were coming out of COVID, but we were thinking a lot about emergency response. University police reports up through student affairs. Emergency management has been an integral portion and an integral part of that, and has reported through my structure. And so a lot of the emergency management and emergency planning has been an integral part of the student affairs and my portfolio. Much like a number of the things shared on this call already, that has largely been because of the integrated thinking about how emergency management directly impacts students. And so thinking about how we keep those so closely coordinated and integrated, so that we're considering how they impact students on a daily basis. And so much of our focus has been on that over the last almost 3 years that I've been here, but in particular over the last year as we've been thinking about emergency management planning on our campus. So what we experienced here in Asheville and kind of trying to determine, right, where do you make the decisions you make, and how do you make them, and particularly for administrators as you're deciding what buildings can be shut down and what can be open and how you're making those decisions. And often I think the information that you have can be hard and starts and fits to communicate that really clearly to thousands of people at a time, right? And if you don't get out in front of those communications um, uh, ahead of it, people think you're not communicating, understandably, right? Or they think there's other reasons you're not communicating, or because of all of these other reasons, right? They have concerns about that, and that was really hampered for us during Helene by the fact that we could not communicate, right? And so that was really really difficult. I'll actually provide an example from last night. So my team last night was standing at the edge of campus. I live in a house that is just off campus, that faces west. And I was eating dinner with my family, and I looked out my window and I said, that's a wildfire that I could not see 2 hours ago. And so I kind of started texting back and forth with my emergency operations team. And we were like, no, the fires are south of us, right? They're between here and Greenville. They're not to the west. And we said, nope, that's a wildfire that has now developed kind of two ridges over from campus. And so we had a conversation, right? And this goes to kind of some of the things that Mario was talking about. Not this is not necessarily an operational risk to campus. This is a communication risk. If we don't share, if we don't get out ahead of our campus community and share with them, like, we know what's going on. We know you and your home might be at risk. We want you to be focused on what you need to be focused on. our students that are in these areas. Whatever support you need, we're going to help take care of you. We're monitoring this. We need to get out ahead of that. And so we moved right into action, right? And got out what we call a bulldog alert. That's our critical arc, and started getting those messages out to say we're monitoring it, right? We know it's 8 miles from campus. There's no immediate danger, but we knew, all right, that we had students in residence halls who were likely taking pictures because they could see it out their residence hall room window and likely sending it to mom and dad going, should I pack my go bag? What does this look like? Those sorts of things. And so making sure that when we say to students, we have bulldog alerts and we're going to be monitoring and we're going to be taking care of you and sending you information, that when we say we're going to do those things, we actually are going to do those things. And so I think for me, one of the things that has been really important over the course of my a career overseeing emergency management is that if you say you're going to do something, getting out ahead of it and ensuring that you actually do it, even if there are moments when you're saying, I actually have no other updates in this moment. And that's okay, but there can't be a kind of silence. Um, and so we had a number of moments. I could probably do a whole webinar about Helene, and it sounds like there's probably a number of others on this call, Beryl and Harvey, and a number of other things that that could be entire webinars.